Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Tote Minnesota. My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to tell you about the X-Ray chassis that you see here with my CZ457 installed. This is from KRG, Kinetic Research Group, and I've had a lot of experience with KRG products in the past. I've got quite a few friends who use them, who swear by KRG as a brand. They love the aftermarket parts, and I've got friends in the hunting world that love them, friends who just plink and shoot on the weekends who enjoy them, and then serious hunters who are very invested in KRG. And I've always thought it's interesting. I think they're really cool. They look aesthetically very pleasing. And as I started looking closer at them at NRA show, SHOT Show, around those times, I noticed that they do have a really wide variety of options and support for the rifles and platforms that they're working with. And so after realizing that their X-Ray chassis is one of the best priced chassis for the CZ457 and the Tikka, I realized this covers a lot of people and quite a few of my subscribers, because I know a huge amount of you have CZ457s and Tikkas. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, and I'm going to show you a little bit with some shooting why I think that this is one of the best for centerfire if you have Tikka, 700, Howa, or rimfire for Tikka or CZ. Under $500 for this particular chassis for the CZ version I have here with toolless adjustments, only weighs 3.1 pounds, extremely modular with a huge amount of aftermarket support or after parts when you purchase the chassis, and it's going to fit for my hobbies of hunting, plinking, and competition equally well. So if you're like me and you've been setting a rifle up, or you've been wanting to set up a rifle that's not only geared for competition, then I think this is going to be an awesome option for you. Even if you only do one of those things, it does everything very, very well. I think it's completely unique, and it's the first chassis I've found where I absolutely love it for each one of these categories, and I don't think it's held back. So, gonna run this KRG, the CZ457 at 51 yards. Got my cameras recording on a KYL, and even though it's windy, I should hit most of these. It might take me a couple extra rounds with the 1/4 inch. It's enough wind that I'll play around with it. I'm not going to use match ammo. I'm just going to use TAC 22. So that should be pretty close to my actual zero. All right, so I admit that took me all 10 rounds, which is not going to impress anybody, but it's pretty windy, and I'll survive that. That's fine with non-match ammo that I'm technically not even zeroed for. That's just fine. I really, really like the chassis. I like the comfort behind this, and being a big person, just long arms, I have a long length of pole usually that's needed. I'm not suffering with this. The fact that it came with those spacers is necessary for me to be really comfortable with this particular optic and the rail that I'm running, but it's such a small footprint. This is a really handy rifle, guys. Very small, actually, and it's still pretty competent. I can hunt with it, and I can compete with it. In fact, I plan to compete with this next month. Well, it's been a little bit since I've run this 18-inch stainless steel .92 contour threaded barrel from Jarvis. I really like this. This happens to be, it's not a match. This one is the Nevis. I'm trying to pronounce it right. It's the other chambering option. I did really well with this one, so I'm going to throw that into here. I'll take out the 16-inch Pete's Pillars barrel, which I really love. It's an awesome barrel, but this also does really well, just kind of with different ammos, so it depends what I'm going to do. Either way, this chassis is going to be a perfect host for what I'm throwing in. It's going to fit this thicker barrel contour with no problems. I'm probably going to say it more times than I need to, but this barrel shoots lights out. Everything that I put through it so far, I forgot how tight this shoots. It's less picky than some of my other barrels. It's actually less picky than I remember. I don't know why that would be, but just how it's set up right and how it's shooting so incredibly well. At 55 yards, looking at 10 shot groups that are well under an inch, all 10 under an inch, probably I'll go down and measure it, but I think it's 1/2 inch at 55 yards with 10-shot groups. So not even getting crazy flyers, and a lot of them are in the same hole. Very, very happy with that. So that's good ammo, and obviously the red box does pretty well. I'm actually surprised at how well Norma's been doing with the current lot that I have. I mean, that's incredibly tight. That's so good. Chassis is very comfortable. Nice to have a consistent thumb placement for my trigger press. I think that's a huge part of it with that vertical grip. Just some of the ergonomics with that. It's so natural for me. Oh, we're in the group. So never mind that 9mm hit there to the left, but the actual groups coming out like that, that's 3/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch most of the time. Without the thrower, it's probably 1/2 inch for 10-shot groups. I'm very happy with that as long as it's consistent, and I'm impressed on a windy day to be seeing groups like that consistently. I think I'll go ahead and zero it and leave this barrel on there with that optic for a while. It seems to be performing just fine. And actually, I'm pretty happy with it because I haven't been doing much for rimfire for a long time. And the idiosyncrasies of rimfire, it's like black magic. So getting back to shooting tighter and tighter groups makes me happy, especially for 10-shot or 15-shot groups. Looking like that, that's stellar, guys. Anything under an inch for a 10-shot group with a flyer is great. Under 3/4 inch, I'm really happy. And actually, looking at this, that's 1/2 inch. I believe that's a 1/2 inch. These are not 1-inch squares. I was wrong. This looks like either a 3/4 inch square, something like that, because my first finger length is an inch right there. So yeah, 1/2 inch. That's a 1/2 inch group for a 10-shotter. That's great. Do a few more of those, but I'm very happy with the performance I'm seeing. And the chassis just makes it so much more comfortable for me as a bigger guy to get behind that and be consistent. All right, I'm gonna try to beat boop the 4-inch target at 110 yards off the rooftop. It has been a while. We'll see how that goes, but I should be able to make some hits here. Wow, that balance is really good. I should probably shoot, but that's very comfortable. Okay. There's a little bit of ricochet. Okay. So other than my awkward position on the roof being a little bit low on the slats down here, it's super steady. And this is not a heavyweight rifle. This is pretty lightweight for the builds that I have, you know, under 20 inches. The chassis itself is pretty light. The optic is not super heavy, but it balances really, really nicely with this setup. I am a huge fan of that. I don't know if Crocs were the right footwear for this, but it shouldn't stop me from doing too much. So I'm a little out of practice, I can tell, but I've got a target, an 8-inch target there in the center at 220 yards. I should be just fine off this bag. It's a stable bag, it's a lightweight one, but with how flat this forearm is, it gives me just a lot of real estate to lay down on. So I'm just gonna try not to bump the rifle, keep it pretty square, and shoot when there's not a lot of wind on that 8-inch target. I might throw a couple at the 4-inch if I do good, if I get really stable, but that's quite a shot for me off the rooftop. So let's just see how I do here. I'm gonna try to lay down, get comfortable. And here we go. All right, there's some hits. Oh yeah, that's actually a pretty generous sized target. As you can see, I'm basically just free recoiling that because I don't want to influence the rifle. Let's try and see if I can get a couple hits, at least 2, on that 4-inch target. I think the wind might throw me off here a little bit, and yeah, I'm wiggling for sure. But it's got this nice spot for my thumb and my hand. Oh, just a little high. I think that might have been through the strap. There it is. There's 2. Let's see if I can do one more. There's 3. All right, for me, that's pretty good. That's a great ratio off of this. I think it's gonna give me splinters, so I'm gonna climb down and let's try something else. So I'm not really sure what body type is supposed to be good at offhand shooting, but I don't think it's my body type. Whatever that is, oh, I'm not great at it, which is why I need to practice. Because my local club does do, I don't know, occasional offhand, and I like to try to at least, get half the points if I can, especially after it's been a while. So usually I knock it down to 8 power, sometimes 6 power. I'm gonna have to change out the sling. But the rifle seems comfortable. It's a nice wide palm for my hand. And one thing that's great is if you can see the barrel channel, there's a lot of room. Lots of room for this barrel to breathe. I could go with a much thicker contour and be fine. Anyways, enough blabbing. Let's go see what I can do at 100. I'm gonna have to figure out something with my sling before I can really start pulling the trigger. I think I'll go with that. Oh my gosh, that was grueling. So I need practice, that's for sure. One thing I like about this, especially compared to the other chassis that I run, is it's really wide and it gives me a nice balancing point. I'm very, very balanced. It's not a matter of that. It's more me figuring out my figure eight and getting the trigger pulled at the right time and, pressing it instead of slapping it and doing all the goofy stuff I'm doing right now. I've been shooting too much 9mm rifle and shooting fast, and I need to get back into this. But excuses aside, this has some serious benefits, like this balance point being where it is. This is really nice for offhand shooting. Actually, it's going to be awesome for hunting. Whether I'm resting it on a branch, or I'm resting it on a rooftop, or the Christmas tree, or the tank trap, or if I'm just trying to palm some shots. I think I'm going to try one more time because I struggled with that one. But if I can get at least half the ratio there on a 10-inch target at 110 yards, I'm doing about average for myself with freestanding shots. So plenty of you will be better. You'll rip me apart in the comments on my form and how I should be doing it. That's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. I would love the criticism if you're actually really decent at that and you can do better than what I just did. I would love to hear from you, actually. But the chassis, as far as I understand what I've seen other people do, it's going to be a very, very complimentary, probably better than some of the competitive chassis that I've used from other brands, especially the more narrow ones. It's a tight lockup. That's a miss. Okay, 9 for 10 on a 10-inch at 110 yards. Yeah, actually, that's not too bad. That's pretty good. That's reasonable. I'll tell you that on my full-size rifle that has extra weights and is super heavy, it might be better for some prone shooting or maybe just being really heavy on some of the props. But this offhand stuff, being able to do the props and offhand shoot this is twice as easy to shoot as some of my really heavy rigs. Twice as easy to shoot. I think with just a little more practice, I'll be going 10 for 10. All right, using the chassis at 105 yards, here's some groups that I shot. They're all 5-shot groups, if I remember right. Yes, they are. They're all 5-shot groups. So off the tank trap at 105 yards, for me, this is really good. I was aiming at the letter A. That's really good for me off the tank trap. I do not typically do quite that well from that position. It was not like a kneeling position. I was just squared up, standing, leaning over on the tank trap. Then this is a prone group at 105 yards. That's almost, and that must be like a 5/16 inch 4-shot group. And this guy down here, this was my first shot too. So I don't know if it would have been a tighter group if I had a, not a cold bore. But anyways, with that chassis, obviously I'm able to be very comfortable and still get really tight groups. Then I shot off the tree. The tree is a little bit of trouble for me. I do have to work for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, it's about a 2-inch group, which I can definitely, I'll live with that for myself off the tree. And then off the rooftop, usually I can be pretty steady off the rooftop, and it looks like about 1 inch and 3/8, something like that, 1 and 3/8 inch group. 5 shots for all these. Definitely happy with that performance using that chassis, and it's a fairly lightweight gun, as I said before. That's not bad for performance at all. Here's what I mean when I say that the ergonomics really contribute to the consistency and steadiness behind this gun. The thumb placement, for me at least, is perfect. It allows for a really perfect reach to that trigger, so I can get just on the print, and my fingers have a nice textured area to land. I can run my thumb through if that's something that you feel the need to do from time to time. You can run your thumb through there. It's kind of a reduction. It gives you something to hold on to. I'll say that when I'm moving the rifle around, a lot of times that's how I would grab it, is like this. I'm picking it up. If I'm going to carry it for a while, it's more of like an AR feel. I really like the vertical nature of it and the reduction up here with the kind of smooth beaver tail that goes up for this transition. It's not a sharp transition, it's a smooth transition. So when I'm shooting targets, it's really comfortable for me to lay my thumb here. There's nothing sharp, there's nothing aggressive, but it's a consistent place for me to place each one of my fingers. And I just find that for me, in consistency, my digits all need a place to go each time. So my trigger finger lands in the same spot without having to readjust or kind of figure out a new spot every time, which with traditional stocks, I do tend to have more issue with that. In chassis, it's just more simple because I have a place to go every time, and my hands, my fingers are so used to that, they know what to do. And when I'm pressing that trigger, it's just a straight back press without milking the grip and without adding a lot of extra tension to these. And my thumb obviously is the resistor, so I'm pressing between these two for the most part. And these fingers are just wrapped around mostly for stability and a place to go so they don't interfere. Sometimes I've seen shooters actually shoot kind of like this, open-handed. I don't do that, but this one allows me a place, as I said, to consistently put my hand. And with XL size hands, it still fits in there. It's still comfortable whether the thumb is through or whether I'm on the side doing more of the precision style work. I don't necessarily need a bag rider because it does so well naturally with this flat portion. This is a great design. I like it a lot. This does not interfere for me. Now, my daughter, who's 8 years old, she was able to shoot this when I didn't have any of the spacers built into it. It was really comfortable for her, had no issues at all. It's actually a fairly lightweight rifle as it is set up, so she could run this really good with that run in. For me, obviously I'm 6'5", and I'm gonna say everybody from like your child up to somebody who's 6'5" is gonna be able to run this if you have your spacer kit with you. I ran all 3 spacers and my stock, or the kind of rubber portion on the end, and that's plenty enough for me. I can get comfortable behind this. CZs have kind of a unique issue where the real estate for mounting an optic, there's just not much there. There's not a lot of rail space, so most of us run something like the MDT or the Area 419 rail for this. And I'm running the Area 419 with the 50 MOA rail, and that allows me to cantilever my optic just a touch forward, a little bit forward, which sets the proper eye relief here. I think you're going to have issues if you try to, camera focused. I think you're going to have issues if you try to run this and you're over 6'5". That's the point where I would start looking at some of the other chassis that they have. KRG has plenty of other options. They're going to work great for you. This one is just more difficult if you're taller than I am with a particular kind of setup in this action. Maybe if you had an optic that was cantilevered even more forward, it'd be no issue. But I'm just going to recommend, look at some of their other options. But everybody else, 6'5" and under, this should be fine, especially with that spacer kit. Really easy to work on. I appreciate that this is a toolless adjustment, so that when I clean this, which I do clean my rimfire, I've got these 2 pillars. They're really strong. It is, whoops. Anyways, it's very adjustable. You can see that I can actually take those out. I could switch this around if I wanted to, but I like running it just as you see here. It's comfortable, smooth, doesn't get kind of oily and gross or sweaty. I don't feel the need to run a pad on there of any sort. So having no tools is the huge selling point with this. And I only need 1, I don't need 2 that I'm trying to finagle. This is just strong as it is. Even if I was going to run it up a little higher, it's just quite strong. There's not a lot of flex in this. So I was impressed with the design. I appreciate having QD cups. Really, really useful for me because I hunt with my rifles most of the time. And let's get this installed. And that's solid and secure. Got a nice padded sling on here, and I typically leave the sling on actually because I like to carry it around. And I like having an integral piece, and I didn't have to buy that. It was installed in the chassis already. It came with that, which is a great touch. Now, if I felt it was important, I could weight this down. There's 2 M-LOK slots up front, and Pete's Pillars makes awesome M-LOK weights. If you're looking for a great, affordable pair, very refined, well-machined and produced, it'll match the quality of the KRG chassis, I recommend Pete's Pillars. Head over to his website. He also sells chassis, so if you're looking for chassis, that's a great place to look. I like that idea, but I would rather have this stay a little lighter weight. So right now, I'm not worried about that. I don't have to have perfect balance or barrel-heavy balance. I'm good with where it's at right now because of the versatility. I was going to mention something about this chassis, the way I've set it up. Underneath, you do have M-LOK that runs all the way through. It's kind of a unique system. It's really high quality though. It's done really well. I went with sort of a different take. I went with one small Arca piece and then a Picatinny piece for my Atlas just to directly mount to. Typically I've run Arca all the way through, but I'm finding that at competitions, very rarely, centerfire or rimfire, do I actually Arca back very much. Most of the time, especially prop stuff, if they give you a little barrel to shoot off of, I'm not using the bipod very often. A lot of times I'm just grabbing the bag and making do with that. So whether that's right or wrong, it's just the way I've been running it. This doesn't have a huge long forearm. It's not an 18-inch long forearm. So since it's shorter, I just didn't want to run a full length rail. Most of the time, this little lightweight rail gets me by just fine anyways. I can honestly use this on tripods equally well as a full length rail. So with the Picatinny up front and this, I feel very comfortable. If I want to switch it in the future, it'd be very easy to take out the swivel stud adapter up front and then run a fuller length or a longer length Arca rail from Sunway Photo. They have sent out a lot of Arca rails in the past, and I appreciate them for their tripods, camera gear, and shooting gear. So this one's set up a little different than you've seen some of the rifles on my channel, but again, it's because of the versatility. It's a crossover rifle for me. I want to hunt with this. I want to do a little bit of competition and a lot of plinking. I want to shoot it, and I want my kids to shoot it, my wife to shoot it. Someday my son will shoot it. And so I've just set it up that way, and it runs really well. I love the coloration. The fit and function of this is extremely high quality. There isn't a single thing about this that I don't like. Not a single thing. I mean, I'm a hard person to fit. I'm a big guy. And I do have lots of preferences from the various rimfire things I've messed around with in the last 5 or 6 years. But there's nothing about this that I don't like. I don't think I can say that about many products in general. In the future, if I wanted to add to this, I could put, the night vision rail or hood on here. I do have some night vision and thermal stuff coming up this year that I need to be active with. So there's other things you can do. They're not really refinements, they're additions though to the chassis. So if you're seeing something here and you think it's lacking, you need to check out their website, because there's an insane amount of accessories for all the KRG chassis and stocks. They do a lot. They've thought through just about every type of end user, and you can customize these to the nth degree. I just can't think of anything that they've ever missed. So when you buy one of these, you're going to have great aftermarket support. They're a really good team. I've spent a little bit of time getting to know them, and I think very highly of their company. Their website and user interface is very good. Their customer support sounds like it's been very, very good, and they keep refining their designs. They keep improving, and every year there's something new and really cool and high quality coming out of KRG, and that's why they have such a dedicated fan base. I would almost borderline call it a cult. Okay, maybe not the cult of KRG, but their following, their fan base is almost cultish. They're so dedicated, and the reason why is because these are so versatile and there's so much aftermarket support. It's a good team. They're actually shooters. These guys are shooters. The people that you contact and you talk to, they know about shooting, they know about your action, they know about the rifles and their own products. That's what sets them apart. Is this isn't just a brand with somebody at the top throwing a bunch of money at it. These are guys who are in the field. They go to competitions, they sponsor some events, which is really cool, and they show up. So that's why they're kind of a grassroots brand. They actually know the products and know what's happening in the field, and that's why they're making such modern updates to everything they do. And I think the fan base understands that, and that's why so many people love to get into KRG stuff, because it's basically the most versatile chassis system out there with the most accessories, the most aftermarket support, and pre-production thought going into them. So that's kind of a loaded statement, but I do stand behind that. I think these are really, really well done chassis, and I'm a huge fan myself. I'm actually looking at my other actions, my other barrels, and kind of wondering if maybe I should be switching over to KRG just because I can set them up exactly, precisely the way that I want, and pretty much change it every time I come to the range for the new application.